good evening. If your day has been heavy, set it down here for a while. Chang'an wakes in Tang twilight, lanterns swelling under carved eaves, tea steam sweetening the air, and the clean mineral bite of ink drifting from a market lane. Deeper in, the imperial lake gardens keep their stillness like a dark bowl of stars. One reality check. This city is so vast and so confidently organized that you probably won't survive this with your sense of direction intact, and that's fine. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and let me know how your day has really been, your worries, your exhaustion, or even a tiny joy that made you smile. I'm here to truly listen and offer the most sincere, heartfelt advice I can. Now turn off the lights. Take a deep, slow breath. Let your tiredness melt away, and gently close your eyes. Let's drift together into tonight's dreamlike lands. And tomorrow morning, if you still remember, send me a message and tell me what you dreamed. You reach the western wall as the sky turns plum dark and the last daylight thins like watered ink. The wall doesn't loom so much as it settles into your vision, thick, calm, inevitable. It feels less like a threat and more like a promise. Inside, things are arranged. Inside, you won't have to improvise every step. The gatehouse rises in layered timber and painted beams, its eaves stacked like patient thoughts. Lanterns hang at measured intervals, their light steady, practical, almost kind. A line of travelers moves forward with slow confidence, bundles hugged close, sandals whispering over dust. You join without thinking. Your body copies the rhythm. Nobody rushes. Nobody performs urgency. At the threshold, the world changes texture. Outside is road, open, uneven, careless. Inside is stone, fitted, smoothed, maintained. You pass beneath the gate's shadow and hear your footsteps soften, as if the city has padded the sound for you. For a moment you're held inside the thickness of the wall, and you can almost feel a tension. Nothing dramatic, just the simple fact that a great city notices who enters. Then you step out, and Chang'an opens. The avenue ahead is wide enough to make your shoulders drop in disbelief. It runs straight, disappearing into lantern haze, as if someone drew a line across the earth and decided that line would be a road. Behind the walls on either side, life murmurs. Water being poured, fabric being shaken out, a pot lid set down with care, close, layered, never chaotic. Far off, beyond intersections you can't yet name, the lights gather more densely, hinting at busier streets where tea and ink and paper trade hands from dawn to dusk. Somewhere beyond that, a darker patch suggests trees, and you already know it's the lake gardens, keeping the city's heartbeat from running too fast. A cart rolls past with the soft groan of wood. A harness bell offers one restrained note. People drift aside as naturally as water going around a stone, and you copy them, grateful for a city where cooperation doesn't need applause. You keep to the edge, letting the flow teach you where your body belongs. Somewhere deeper in, a drum begins, slow, spaced out, unhurried. It doesn't try to entertain you. It simply measures the evening, reminding everyone that night has a shape here. The lanterns seem to agree, brightening as the sky dims, turning the street into a chain of warm pools you can step between. And then the scents find you again, more clearly now. Tea first. Warm leaves, toasted grain, a hint of dried citrus, slipping through a doorway as if it's testing whether you're ready to be comforted. Ink next, cool, mineral, a little smoky, drifting from a side lane where a shop has its doors open to the evening. You don't go in yet. You just let the smells write themselves into you, as if your memory is a page in Chang'an is already making a careful first stroke. A small group of locals passes near you, moving with quiet confidence. One lifts a hand in subtle caution as another cart approaches, and you understand without being corrected. You step back. You let the cart go. Nobody needs to scold you. Nobody needs to thank you. The city's kindness is procedural, and oddly it feels safe. Your feet remind you they have carried you a long way. You look for something simple, somewhere to set your bundle down, somewhere to rinse the dust from your hands. Near a courtyard entrance, travelers come and go with steady ease. Inside, the space is modest and clean, mats laid flat, a kettle kept warm, a basin of water reflecting lantern light like a captive star. An attendant points wordlessly toward where you can rest. You loosen your shoes. You let your shoulders fall. You listen to the kettle's faint hiss and the city's distant drum, and you decide that tonight you're allowed to be small. Outside, the grand avenue keeps stretching through the capital toward markets that smell of paper and stone, toward gardens where lake water waits under willow shade. You don't chase any of it tonight. You take the first mouthful of calm, and you learn the earliest rule of surviving Chang'an. You don't try to swallow a city this vast. You sip it patiently, the way you sip tea, one quiet, careful moment at a time. You wake before you fully mean to, because Chang'an is already moving, quiet, methodical, and unbothered. In the courtyard, the kettle holds a polite warmth. The basin water reflects one lantern as a small, upside-down moon. You rinse your hands, retie your bundle, and step back outside with the faint sense that the city has been awake for hours and has simply decided not to brag about it. The Grand Avenue waits exactly where it was, straight as a drawn line. Morning light thins the night's plum into pale gold. The stone under your feet looks washed clean, even when it isn't, and the width of the road loosens something in your chest. Nobody is forced to press too close. A street this broad removes conflict from the body before it can form. You join the flow. Footsteps gather into a steady hush, thousands of soft impacts on stone, a rhythm so even it begins to settle your breathing. Carts roll in predictable tracks, wheels whispering, harness bells offering small, restrained notes. People fold in from side lanes and peel away again without friction, as if everyone has agreed to share space the way you share a blanket, smoothly, without tugging. At first, you scan for rules you might break. Walkers keep to a side, leaving the center for heavier loads. At crossings, yielding happens without drama, as if courtesy is simply efficient. You copy it all with the cautious focus of someone who has survived long roads and doesn't want to be defeated by a city's invisible grammar. Then the rules stop feeling like tests and start feeling like comfort. Chang'an's order isn't cold, it's public softness. The grid of ruler straight lines gives your eyes stability. Even the sounds seem organized. Wheels, sandals, carrying poles, each one existing without trying to win the morning. Walls run in steady bands on either side, broken by gates that open and close with measured timing. In doorways, attendants sweep in slow strokes that keep dust low. The avenue holds private life at the edges while keeping the center clear, and that simple separation makes everything feel calmer than it has any right to be. And the scents return, gentle and precise. Tea first. Warm leaves, toasted grain, a faint citrus edge, sliding out from a doorway where someone has started the day slowly. Ink follows, cooler and mineral, a hint of smoke and stone drifting from deeper within the wards. You don't chase it yet. You let it hover, the way you let a pleasant thought hover when you're trying not to wake yourself fully. Your body learns the city almost without permission. Your shoulders loosen into the shared rhythm. Your hands stop gripping your bundle like it might run away. The gate last night felt like a promise for a reason. This place is built to hold you, to reduce the number of decisions you have to make while tired. Of course, symmetry can be its own kind of cruelty. At a major crossing, straightness extends in 4 directions like identical threads. Your eyes flick left, then right, and the patterns repeat so perfectly your mind goes briefly blank. There's a whisper of sarcasm in the air. Yes, traveler, everything looks the same, and you will now learn humility. You drift forward without deciding, one step, then another, until you realize you've wandered into the part of the crossing where carts prefer to pass. Because carts, unlike you, love predictability. One approaches. Not fast. Not angry. Simply inevitable. The wheel's rim comes close enough to tighten your stomach. You hop back, a little clumsy, feeling heat rise behind your ears. Nobody shouts. Nobody needs to. The driver's eyes flick to you in a way, filing you under. Minor inconvenience, now corrected. A local nearby, older, calm, offers a tiny kindness. 2 fingers angled toward a safer walking line where the flow is thinner. No lecture. Just a gesture. You follow it immediately, and the avenue stops feeling like a test. You let that become your method. You read bodies instead of signs. When people pause, you pause. When they cross, you cross. When they gather near a doorway, you keep distance, because that doorway belongs to someone's mourning. The city's order settles into you like an extra layer of clothing, nothing flashy, just useful. And yet, after enough grandness, you start craving a corner. The avenue is generous, but it's also exposing. So wide you feel briefly visible to the whole city, like a speck crossing a polished floor. You understand another quiet survival rule. Even good order can overwhelm you if you stand in the middle of it too long. A narrow passage opens between compounds, shaded and cooler. A cluster of locals turns into it without ceremony, leaving the grand artery for a softer vein. You follow, and the sound changes at once. The avenue's wide hush drops away, replaced by close domestic noises. Water poured, broom bristles, a lid set down gently. The lane bends, finally, and your shoulders unclench like you've been given permission. Behind you, the boulevard continues its straight, confident march through Chang'an. Ahead, the quieter lane holds the city at a human volume. You walk into shade, letting the faint scent of tea grow warmer, and you carry with you what the avenue has taught: how to move with the capital's order, and how to step aside into calm before you forget your own pace. You follow the shaded bend a little farther, letting the lane narrow until the city can only notice you one shoulder at a time. The air turns cooler. You hear water before you see it, small pores, careful splashes, and then the scent of warmed leaves rises again, not drifting now but anchored, as if someone has tied it to this exact courtyard and said, "Here, you can exhale." A simple doorway opens into a tea courtyard. The ground is swept so thoroughly that even your traveled dust feels impolite. A brazier glows low beneath a kettle that hums with a steady, almost parental sound, as if the day will not be allowed to unravel. You step in and immediately understand tea is not just a drink here. It is choreography. Trays move in slow arcs. Bowls are set down with the kind of care people usually reserve for sleeping children. A cloth passes over wood in repeated strokes, turning the table into a clean stage. You pause at the edge, because you still remember the avenue's lesson: read bodies, not signs. The regulars don't stare. They simply exist, and that becomes its own invitation. You choose a place that feels safely unimportant, near a post, away from the center. A mat is offered with a gesture that makes it clear you're allowed to sit without performing gratitude. You lower yourself, and the first thing you notice is how everyone's hands look. Not delicate, not precious, just practiced. Fingers that know the weight of a ladle, the balance of a bowl, the exact pressure that keeps a lid from clacking. On the low table, the tools of calm weight: a small scoop, a whisk, a cloth folded into a neat square, and a compact cake of tea resting like a quiet brick. Water is poured into bowls first to warm the clay, then tipped out with the same calm you use when you finally let go of a worry. The tea is shaved, ground, coaxed into powder, and you watch the motion until your thoughts begin to move at that speed too, slow, consistent, unpanicked. A bowl is placed in front of you. Your instinct, road-born and a little defensive, is to grab it immediately, proof that yes, you have been served, yes, you are included, yes, you exist. Your fingers reach, and you do exactly the wrong thing. Not catastrophic, not humiliating in any loud way, just wrong in the quiet, precise language of this courtyard. Your fingertips touch the rim. A tiny smear of travel dust kisses the clay like an unwanted signature. You freeze, bowl suspended between table and air, as if stillness might rewind time. Nothing explodes. Chang'an, thankfully, does not punish ignorance with theater. A nearby regular simply shifts, and a cloth appears, folded, offered, placed within reach like a solution you're allowed to choose. You set the bowl down carefully, wipe your fingertips, then the rim in soft circles that erase your mistake without announcing it. You return the cloth folded, or as folded as you can manage, and you sense approval not as praise but as the absence of tension. You have rejoined the rhythm. The bowl returns to you, warm again, as if it has forgiven you by being practical. You lift it properly this time, hands supporting, fingers away from the drinking edge. Steam rises in a thin ribbon. You breathe it in first, because your body has learned that survival begins with breath. The first sip is soft and honest. A little bitter, a little sweet, with a roasted depth that feels like it's been waiting in the leaf for someone tired enough to understand it. Heat spreads down your throat and settles in your chest. It unnouts the last tightness left from the road, the last braced part of you that expects the world to be careless. Around you, the courtyard continues its quiet education. People tilt bowls to inspect the surface, watching the foam's delicate islands. Tools are rinsed with small pores that sound like rain on stone. Nobody rushes. Discipline lives here, but it has taken its shoes off. And then a second, smaller test arrives. You don't know when to stop. On the road, you drink fast because the next chance is never guaranteed. Here, tea comes in measured cycles, and you feel your old habit flare up, finish quickly, secure more. Your bowl empties. Your hands hover, ready to signal, to ask, to claim. But nobody asks. Nobody claims. The tea simply returns when it is meant to return. You catch yourself and let your hands settle onto your knees. You sit with emptiness for a moment, empty bowl, empty space, empty breath, and you discover that nothing bad happens. Waiting here is not neglect. It is part of the taste. When the bowl comes again, you accept it with the same quiet care you practiced minutes ago. You sip slowly enough to hear the kettle's hum beneath your own heartbeat. The locals, still wordless, still kind, guide you by simply being consistent. You belong because you are willing to match the pace. Somewhere in the back of your mind, a small sarcastic thought yawns awake. Congratulations, traveler. You have entered a civilization so advanced it can teach you how to drink without panicking. You let that thought drift off like steam. In this tea courtyard, Chang'an stops being a map you might fail and becomes a set of small, learnable motions. Warm bowl. Clean fingers. Slow sip. Patient pause. The grand avenue recedes, and in its place you hold something manageable in both hands: leaf, water, heat, and a little practiced peace. You step out of the tea courtyard with warmth still settled behind your ribs. The lane carries you away from the grand avenue's wide, public calm and into streets that feel privately owned by habit. Swept thresholds, low walls, eaves holding shade. Chang'an stays orderly, but here the order is quiet enough that you can hear your own breathing again. The scent of ink returns and grows more exact with every step: cool mineral, faint smoke, resin and stone. It pulls you the way a half-remembered melody pulls you when you're drowsy, not urgent, just insistent. You follow it, your indigo cloak brushing your calves, your russet sash shifting with each slow stride, until the lane opens into a tea-ink market where craft sits out in the open like sunlight. Awnings of woven matting soften the glare. Stalls line both sides, tables crowded with objects that look simple until you notice their precision. Inkstones hollowed into shallow basins, dense ink sticks, brushes bound into perfect points, paper stacked in pale sheets that whisper when the breeze slides through. The air tastes dry with fiber and cool with stone, and underneath it all floats a thin thread of tea, as if the city refuses to let you forget comfort. You move slowly, partly out of respect, partly because everything here feels like it could be ruined by a careless sleeve. In the back of a stall, someone grinds ink, pressing an ink stick against the stone with unhurried circles. Water beads, darkens, becomes a glossy black pool that seems to drink light. The motion is hypnotic. Circle, pause, tiny pour, circle again, and your breath copies it without asking permission. Nearby, buyers test paper the way you test bedding before sleep. A sheet lifts into the sun, fibers showing faint veins like a leaf. Fingers run along an edge, checking thickness with calm certainty. You understand why this lane is spoken of with tea in the same breath. Both trades are built on patience, timing, and the willingness to let subtle things matter. You drift toward a brush display. Handles of bamboo and polished wood rest in orderly rows. Some brushes are needle-fine, meant for strokes so precise they feel like whispered secrets. Others are broader, built for confident sweeps that would fill a scroll like wind filling a sail. Your fingers itch with curiosity. You remember the tea bowl's rim from earlier, the tiny smear of travel dust you left there like an unwanted autograph, and you try to be wise. You tuck your hands into your sleeves for a moment, as if you can physically restrain your interest by wrapping it in cloth. Then you do the thing you were trying not to do. You reach out, aiming for the handle, because the handle is safe. Your sleeve, however, has its own ambitions. The cuff brushes the tip of a fine brush, barely a kiss, and the perfect point fans open, hairs separating like startled birds. Your body goes still. Your mind offers up a whole tray of possible embarrassments, silent judgment being ushered away, becoming a cautionary tale told with a sigh. None of that arrives. The stall keeper notices, of course they notice, and responds with a calm that is almost offensively soothing. A shallow bowl of clean water slides forward. The brush is lifted with practiced fingers, dipped, then drawn gently along a smooth edge, rotated, tapered, coaxed back into a point. Rinse. Draw. Rotate. Taper. Your mistake dissolves into technique. You feel your chest loosen. A small, sleepy sarcasm stirs and settles. In a city of artisans, your panic is rarely the most interesting thing in the room. You fold your sleeves back and make your hands smaller, more deliberate. As you continue, the market changes. You notice the soft percussive taps as paper stacks are aligned, the quick restraint of a cutter trimming an edge, the careful weighing of corners so fresh sheets dry flat. No one wastes movement. No one hurries just to feel important. Tea threads through the lane again as flasks are carried past. Steam slips between shoulders. You notice ink-stained fingertips lifting a cup without fear of mixing worlds. Here, tea and ink aren't opposites. They're siblings. One warms the body, the other warms the mind, and both require you to slow down enough to notice what your hands are doing. The city keeps guiding you without words. A passerby shifts a basket so you can pass. Someone angles a drying rack away from the walking line. A buyer pauses at the right moment, giving you space to look without making you feel like you're blocking the lane. Each small accommodation teaches you how to move more gently. When you finally stop, it's at a stall where scrolls are rolled and tied with thin cords. They smell of paper and starch and a hint of smoke. A small offcut, barely more than a strip, offered with an easy, unceremonious kindness, ends up in your hand. You rub it between your fingers and feel how it holds itself, how it stays soft yet certain. You fold it twice and tuck it into your sash, a quiet souvenir that doesn't clink or brag. You don't need to touch more to feel the craft anymore. Your eyes are enough. Your breath is enough. You leave the tea ink market with the faintest dark stain on one fingertip, earned, not blundered, like a small promise that later, on another day, you might learn to make a single steady stroke without rushing it. The market's lane loosens its grip on you gradually, like a hand that understands you're not running away, you're just wandering. You follow the ink scent deeper, where it stops being a drifting perfume and becomes a lived-in atmosphere. Stone dust, pine soot, damp paper, and that faint smoky sweetness that clings to a workroom long after the lamps are out. You find the calligrapher's street without needing an announcement. The signs are the sounds, the dry rasp of ink stick on stone, the soft clap of paper being straightened, the tiny, precise tap of a brush handle set down so it doesn't roll. Even footsteps change here, lighter, more careful, as if the street itself has trained ankles not to stomp. The buildings sit close, shoulder to shoulder, their eaves casting clean shade. Doors are open to invite light. In one threshold, a shallow tray holds brushes upright like a small forest. In another, sheets hang to dry, their edges weighted with smooth stones. The stones look ordinary until you realize they've been chosen for being ordinary. Flat enough, heavy enough, never dramatic. You pass by and your eyes keep snagging on hands. Hands that grind ink with the steady patience of a tide. Hands that hold paper down with two fingers so light they barely indent the surface. Hands that rinse a brush and squeeze it just enough, then just enough again, as if enough is a measurement you can learn. You hover at the edge of one open room. Inside, a work table faces a bright window. The tabletop is stained with years of black rivers, dried into patterns like old maps. A brush moves across paper with such control that you can almost hear the stroke before you see it. Quiet pressure, then release, then a tapering lift at the end like a bird pulling away from water. You lean in a little, careful not to step on any stray sheet, careful not to breathe too hard as if breath could disturb ink. And that's when the street offers you a gift you didn't ask for, a slow, nonverbal invitation. A spare brush is set down on the edge of a table. A small dish of water sits nearby. A scrap of paper, nothing precious, waits as if it has been waiting for you specifically, which is both flattering and terrifying. Your first instinct is panic disguised as humility. You are not trained. You are the person who smudged a tea bowl rim with dust. You are the sleeve that tried to eat a brush tip. You are not the kind of traveler who should be allowed near anything that requires grace. But the room stays calm. The invitation stays where it is. No one pressures you with attention. The city's favorite teaching method returns. Let you decide, let you fail softly, let you fix it. So you sit. The mat is firm. The table's edge is smooth from use. You place your hands on your knees for a moment and let your breathing settle, because you have learned that in Chang'an, breath is part of etiquette. You pick up the brush. It feels lighter than you expected, balanced in a way that makes your fingers want to grip too tightly. You relax them. You remember the tea bowl. Hold without clutching. You dip the brush in water first, then touch it to the ink pool, watching the hairs darken, saturate, become a point again. The scrap of paper waits like a blank sky. You lower the brush and make your first stroke. It is enthusiastic. Ink blooms where you didn't mean it to bloom. The line thickens, then thins, then thickens again, like a path made by someone half asleep crossing a field. You lift too late, so the end of the stroke blunts rather than tapering. You stare at it with the heavy feeling of someone who has just discovered that art is hard. A small sarcastic thought appears, gentle as a yawn. You came to a city of poetry and tried to draw a fence post. You almost laugh, but you don't, because laughing feels too loud here. Instead, you exhale and do the more useful thing. You look closer. The ink is glossy where it's thick, matte where it's thin. It pools in paper fibers differently depending on pressure. You can see where your hand hesitated. You can see where you forced it. The page is giving you feedback without insulting you. You try again, slower. This time you let your shoulder drop. You let the brush move from the elbow rather than the wrist. You keep pressure steady, then deliberately lighten at the end, lifting as if you're releasing a thought rather than ending a line. The stroke still isn't elegant, but it is calmer. It has intention. You try a third stroke, then a fourth, not chasing perfection, just chasing steadiness. The room remains quiet. Somewhere nearby, someone grinds ink, the circle pause like a metronome. Paper rustles. a kettle somewhere sighs. The world gives you enough sound to keep you company, but not enough to wake you up. And then, a small problem arrives. Of course it does, because practice always invites one. Your brush begins to split. The point fans slightly, hairs separating from too much ink or too much pressure or just your beginner's lack of restraint. The stroke widens and looks fuzzy at the edges, like a thought you can't fully hold. You freeze again. Old fear rises. You have damaged something. But the solution is here, quietly, already known by everyone except you. A shallow dish of water is nudged toward your side of the table. You rinse the brush gently, swirling until the water clouds. You press the hairs softly against the dish's edge and rotate, coaxing them back together. You lift and watch the point reform like a small miracle that is actually just technique. There it is, the small problem, met and resolved without drama. You don't need to apologize to the room. You just need to learn. When you set the brush down, you do it the way you've watched others do it, handle first, slow, so it doesn't roll. Your scrap paper holds a handful of imperfect strokes, some thick, some thin, a few almost graceful. It is an art worth keeping, but it is proof that your hands can slow down. You stand and step back into the street, carrying nothing new in your bag but carrying something quieter in your body. The memory of black ink moving like a slow river, and the feeling that in Chang'an, even your clumsy attempts can be folded into the city's patience. The calligrapher's street releases you with the same calm it offered you. No fanfare, no tidy goodbye. Just the gentle understanding that people drift in and drift out, and the work continues either way. You walk on with ink still faintly under your nails and that new, unfamiliar sensation in your hands. Not skill, exactly, but restraint. The city has taught your fingers to move as if every touch has consequences, which is a polite way of saying you are finally behaving like someone who is not a natural disaster in a marketplace. A little farther along, the air changes. The sharp mineral of ink softens into the dry, warm smell of paper, fiber, paste, sun-warmed wood. It's the scent of rooms where knowledge is handled all day and never stops being fragile. You find the book alleys by following the flow of people carrying bundles that are suspiciously rectangular and wrapped with care. Here, the buildings feel quieter, as if the walls have absorbed too many pages to tolerate loudness. Doors stand open to catch light. Inside, shelves rise in measured rows, and stacks of scrolls sit tied with cords and colors that don't shout. Dull reds, faded blues, the occasional thread of gold like a restrained smile. You move slowly, because the place demands it. A single careless shoulder could topple a stack and turn the whole alley into a soft avalanche of paper. No one would die, but your dignity might, and that is sometimes worse. In a copying room, you pause at the threshold. Light falls across low tables. Copyists sit with straight backs and loose shoulders, brushes moving in consistent strokes. Their hands repeat lines without rush, as if the act of copying is not tedious but devotional. The sound is almost nothing. The brush's faint drag, the tiny tap when it's rinsed, the soft rustle of a page being turned. You watch long enough that your breathing sinks to their pace. The world narrows to paper, ink, and the disciplined willingness to continue. On a side table, a ledger lies open, columns, neat characters, tidy marks that track what is copied, what is sold, what is owed. The economy of knowledge is visible here, not romanticized. Pages are labor. Scrolls are goods. Learning is beautiful, but it is also counted. A buyer lifts a scroll and checks the cord, fingers testing knot strength, as if the knot is part of the text. Another holds a sheet up to the light to see through it, judging fiber density. Someone else examines the seal stamp, small, carved, pressed into paste, because authenticity matters when paper moves from hand to hand. You realize something gently humbling. The city's brilliance does not float on inspiration alone. It is supported by people who count, wrap, copy, proofread, dry, and store. The glamour of culture rests on the quiet shoulders of routine. A bundle of fresh sheets sits near a window, held flat with those familiar ordinary stones. A breeze sneaks in and tries to lift a corner. Before it can, a hand reaches out, not fast, not dramatic, just precise. The sheet is smoothed, the stone adjusted, the breeze politely defeated. You drift into a shop where shelves are packed close. The owner doesn't greet you loudly. They simply nod once, a small acknowledgement that you exist and can browse without being chased. You run your eyes over titles you can't fully read, but you don't need to read everything to feel the gravity. Each bundle is weight without heaviness, held together by cords that look thin until you realize they are exactly as strong as they need to be. Your fingers itch again. Curiosity is persistent, but you remember your sleeves. You keep your hands close. You lean in with your eyes rather than your fingertips. It's a new form of respect, wanting to touch and choosing not to. At the back, a small group of apprentices sorts miscopied sheets. You recognize the tone of the work immediately. No anger, no collapse, just correction. A page with an error is not burned in shame. It is set aside, marked, repurposed. Even mistakes have a place here, and that thought lands warmly in your chest. Then, because Chang'an seems to enjoy testing you in small, manageable doses, a problem arrives, quietly, practically. A cord slips. It isn't your fault at first. A bundle on a shelf has been shifted, perhaps by someone else, perhaps by time. The knot loosens, and the scrolls begin to lean outward, their rolled edges threatening to tumble. It's slow, but inevitable. Paper obeys gravity just like everything else. You see it happening, and your body reacts before your mind can invent excuses. You step forward and brace the bundle with one palm, not grabbing, just supporting. The roll presses lightly against your hand, the paper cool and dry. Your heart speeds up. You imagine the scrolls spilling like pale snakes onto the floor, a soft disaster that would still feel like an offense. You hold the stack steady and look around for help without making noise. The shop owner notices immediately. Of course they do, and moves in with the calm of someone who has fixed this 1,000 times. A new cord appears. The bundle is lifted, retied, tightened with practiced fingers. The roll is returned to its place with careful alignment, like a spine set back into proper posture. You withdraw your hand and suddenly become aware of how still the shop has been. Not tense, just quiet enough that your small intervention felt large. You expect, reflexively, to be corrected, or thanked, or at least noticed. Instead, the owner gives a single nod, a small tilt of the head that says, "Yes, that was the right thing, and now we move on." That's it. No ceremony. No credit. You feel oddly relieved. It is nice to help without being turned into a story. It is nice to be part of the city's maintenance rather than merely a visitor consuming its beauty. As you step back outside, the book alleys continue their hushed commerce. Copyists keep writing. Buyers keep weighing. Stones keep holding paper flat against the wind. And you carry with you a fresh understanding. In Chang'an, knowledge is not only in poems and grand halls. It lives in chords, ledgers, shelves, and the quiet hands that refuse to let pages fall. You leave the book alleys with paper scent clinging to your sleeves, dry and warm like sun on straw. The hush behind you thins, replaced by a different order, one made of feet, hunger, and small agreements people make without speaking. The light tilts. Chang'an darkens the way tea darkens in a bowl, slowly, patiently. Lanterns wake one by one under eaves. A drum somewhere offers a spaced-out beat, more reminder than command. You follow the flow toward a lane where steam collects and hangs. First you smell broth, savory, steady. Then scallion and sesame. Then mild smoke from grills that have seen too many evenings to get excited about it. The night market isn't a single square. It's a mood spilling through narrow streets. Stalls bloom under awnings. Pots settle onto braziers. Wooden ladles tap rims with soft, repetitive knocks. Cloth lifts and falls over bowls, keeping heat in. You keep to the edge at first, because your body still remembers the grand avenue's width, and your hands remember how easily a sleeve can betray you. You tuck those sleeves back, indigo cloth pinned by habit, and let your feet read the crowd. Here's the rule the market teaches: become smaller without becoming tense. A noodle stall sends up a pillar of steam that catches lantern light and turns it milky. Behind it, a pot simmers with calm seriousness. A strainer lifts noodles, shakes once, drains, then drops them into broth and emotion so practiced it feels like breathing. Nothing is rushed, even when the lane is full. A bowl arrives in front of you, placed, not announced. You take it with both hands, letting heat press gently into your palms. The broth smells of soy and bones and something bright. You glance and spot it, a curled strip of dried citrus peel near the pot, catching light like a tiny moon. You sip. Warmth spreads down your throat and into your chest. Your shoulders drop. Steam wets your eyelashes. The noodles are soft enough to comfort, firm enough to keep you awake just a little, the way a good story does. For a while, you're nothing but heat, salt, and the quiet pleasure of being fed. Then you do what tired travelers do. You get confident for no reason. A tray of condiments sits within reach: pepper, chili flakes, a dark paste that looks like ink trying a new career. The part of your brain that still wants to handle it pinches what you believe is modest and lets it fall into the bowl. The broth accepts it politely for half a breath. Then the heat arrives. It blooms up your throat and into your nose with the swift certainty of a small dragon. Your eyes water. You blink hard and keep your face neutral, because there's no need to be dramatic about being defeated by seasoning. A sleepy sarcasm drifts through you anyway. You survive strict gates and bookshop cords slipping, and now red flakes try to humble you in public. You don't panic. You accept that pride is not part of dinner. A small cup of tea appears near your bowl, set down by a hand already moving away. It smells toasted and calm, the exact opposite of what you just invited into your skull. You take a slow sip. The bitterness steadies you. Your breathing evens out. The fire doesn't vanish. It becomes background, an ember instead of an attack. Your eyes finally stop watering, and you feel oddly proud of choosing calm over spectacle, like the tea courtyard would approve. You keep eating, slower, respectfully corrected. In the market's soft chaos, nobody has time to judge you, and that turns out to be a kindness. The crowd murmurs like water over stones. Skewers click against a tray in a gentle pattern. A kettle sighs. You begin collecting charms, not objects you burden yourself with, but sensations you can carry without weight. The sound of noodles shaken dry, one lift, one tap. The smell of charred scallion. The feel of a warm bowl against your palms. Lantern light trapped in steam, turning air into silk for a second before it disappears. You brush your thumb over the strip of paper tucked into your sash and remember the imperfect ink strokes you left behind, black rivers that taught your hand restraint. Tonight, the city repeats the lesson in edible form. You don't have to conquer anything here. You only have to keep yourself from tipping. The lane thickens near a skewer stall, and your shoulder almost clips a tray. You catch it in time, one step back, a turn sideways, letting someone slide past. The tray stays level. Your near mistake evaporates into the crowd like steam. You drift to a quieter pocket at the edge where the noise thins into a soft murmur. You finish your tea. The spice fades into warmth in your belly. Lanterns sway overhead barely, as if they're rocking the street to sleep. When you stand, it's not because you're pushed out, but because you've taken what you came for. You walk back into the lane with your bundle close, cloak brushing your calves, sash snug at your waist, and a small collection of invisible souvenirs. Tea on your tongue, ink under your nails, warmth on your palms, and the steady reassurance that even in Chang'an's gentle chaos, you can move carefully and remain intact. You leave the night market behind, not abruptly, but the way you leave a warm bed, slowly, with reluctance, letting the heat fade so your body can remember the shape of cool air. The lanes widen, then widen again, until you're walking beside a canal that carries the city's practical pulse. Water changes everything. It makes sound softer. It makes lantern light longer, stretched into trembling ribbons. It makes even a huge city feel like it has a calm throat where it can swallow its own noise. The canal runs straight, bordered by stone edges worn smooth by feet and time. Barges slide through with low, patient creaks. Poles press into the water and lift, press and lift, each stroke a measured push that keeps the world moving without fuss. Cargo sits stacked under cloth, bales, crates, sacks tied tight. Nothing is fancy. Everything is necessary. You walk beside it and watch how Chang'an feeds itself. A warehouse courtyard opens to your left, the gate wide enough for carts to roll in without scraping. Inside, workers move like a practice school of fish, each person angled to avoid collisions, each load passed along with small shifts of weight. Ropes tighten, knots cinch. A basket settles onto a shoulder pole and the carrier's body adjusts as naturally as breathing. Nobody needs to shout. The work speaks in rhythm. You keep to the edge, because you've learned that the city rewards those who don't insist on being centered. The ground here is damp in patches, and the air smells of wet wood, grain dust, and river-cool stone. It's less poetic than tea and ink, and somehow that makes it soothing. The city is not a single mood. It's a body, and this is one of its hard-working limbs. Along the canal, small stalls appear, simple food for people who lift heavy things all day. Bowls are handed over quickly, steam rising in short bursts. Tea is poured without ceremony. Someone wipes sweat from their temple and keeps moving. You understand a new kind of elegance, efficiency that doesn't become cruelty. A barge glides close to the edge. A worker steps off with practiced balance, a rope looped around their forearm. The rope is tossed to a hook, tension adjusted with a small pull. The barge settles, held in place not by force but by correct angles. You watch, quietly impressed, because you've spent enough of your life wrestling problems to know what it means when something is handled cleanly. Then, because the city seems to enjoy offering you little problems like training weights, one arrives. It starts with a sound, a dull, wet thud. A sack on a cart has shifted, perhaps from a loose tie or a bump in the road. Its bottom scrapes the cart's edge in tears. Grain begins to spill in a pale stream, scattering onto damp stone. It looks almost beautiful for a heartbeat, tiny kernels catching lantern light, until you remember what it is: wasted food, wasted labor, a mess that could trip someone, draw pests, slow the whole flow. The cart keeps moving for a second, the carrier not yet aware. A thin trail follows like the city leaving crumbs for no reason. Your body tightens with the familiar traveler's instinct. Not my business, keep walking, don't get involved. But Chang'an has been teaching you a different reflex. You've seen people adjust a paperweight before the wind lifts it. You've braced a slipping bundle in a bookshop. You've stepped back to keep a tray steady. You've learned that small fixes prevent bigger chaos. So you act. You step forward, not into the cart's path, not foolishly heroic, just close enough to catch the carrier's attention. You lift your hand and angle your body toward the spilling sack, making the problem visible without needing words. The carrier's eyes flick down. Their posture changes. They stop. For a moment, everyone around continues moving. The city doesn't freeze for your little moment of morality. It simply flows around you, leaving you a small pocket of space to solve the thing. The carrier kneels, hands quick and practiced. They pinch the torn seam, assessing. A nearby worker appears with a length of twine, as if twine grows out of the ground here. Another brings a shallow board to scoop the scattered grain, pushing it into a cleaner pile. Someone else drags a sack under the tear to catch what still falls. In seconds, the leak slows, then stops. You find yourself joining without being asked. You crouch and use the edge of your sleeve, not the cuff near your wrist. You're not that reckless anymore, but the safer inner fold, to nudge kernels into the pile. You move carefully, making small sweeps. It's not graceful, but it's useful. A tiny wave of dampness seeps through the cloth, cool against your skin, and for a moment you're absurdly grateful you didn't choose your nice cloak for today, as if you own multiple cloaks like a person who plans ahead. You gather the grain into the board's edge, and it's transferred back into a sack with steady hands. The carrier reties the torn seam, knotting twine with a practiced pull that tightens without snapping. The cart is rearranged, load balanced again. The whole incident settles into the canal's background hum. You straighten slowly, knees reminding you of roads and age and the fact that you are not built for warehouse work. The carrier gives you a nod, small, quick, unromantic. No fuss. No story. Just acknowledgement that you didn't make things worse. In Chang'an, that counts. You step back to the canal's edge and watch the barge lights stretch on the water again. The city continues moving, grain carried, crates stacked, ropes tightened. Your hands smell faintly of damp fiber and dust. You rub them together and feel something steady inside you, a quiet competence that didn't come from mastery, only from noticing. Chang'an's beauty isn't only in grand avenues or tea-ink markets. It's here too, in the calm way people mend a torn sack before it becomes a disaster, and in how a tired traveler can be folded into that calm for a moment, then released again into the lantern-lit flow. You keep walking until the canal's working pulse softens behind you. The air changes first, less damp grain dust, more cool leaf and wet earth. Then the sound changes, fewer wheels, fewer poles tapping stone, more birds and water and that particular hush that exists only where trees are allowed to be trees. The Imperial Lake Gardens arrive like a deep breath. Stone paths curve with intention, not the rigid certainty of the avenue grid but something gentler, as if the designers understood that even power needs a place to relax its jaw. Willows trail thin green fingers over dark water. Bridges arc low and smooth, their rails worn by countless hands that have rested there for a moment too long. Lanterns are spaced farther apart, allowing shadow to exist without fear. The lake holds the sky in fragments, a broken mirror that moves with every ripple. You step in, and the city's vastness becomes quiet instead of loud. Here, the grandeur is controlled softness. Gravel crunches underfoot in a sound that feels oddly respectful. A breeze slides through bamboo and makes it dry, whispering rattle, like paper being turned in a book you don't have to read tonight. The water smells clean and deep, touched with algae and stone and the faint sweetness of blossoms that fall without drama. You slow down, because the garden doesn't reward speed. It rewards noticing. At the edge of the path, gardeners work with the calm seriousness of people tending something that must look effortless. A rake lifts and settles. Fallen leaves are gathered and carried away, not because leaves are sinful, but because order is the language of this place. A pond edge is cleared of debris with a long-handled net, slow sweep after slow sweep, each movement unhurried but exact. You pass a cluster of locals walking in quiet pairs or small groups. They don't guide you with words. They guide you by creating a pace you can match. You keep a respectful distance, absorbing the way they turn slightly at corners to avoid crowding, the way they pause at a bridge without leaning too far, the way they let the garden hold them instead of trying to take it. The lake opens wider, and you see it, mirror water calm, interrupted by lily pads and a few pale blossoms floating like tiny boats. Across the water, a pavilion sits under curved eaves, its reflection trembling. You feel the soft pull to go closer, not for status, not for a view you can brag about, but because something about that pavilion looks like rest. You take the bridge. Under your sandals, the stone is cool. Your steps make small echoes that disappear quickly, swallowed by water and leaves. Halfway across, you stop and look down. Fish slide beneath the surface, their bodies dark, their movements slow, as if even the fish have agreed to an unhurried life here. Your mind drifts to earlier lanes, steam at the noodle stall, ink blooming on paper, grain spilling by the canal. Chang'an has shown you so many forms of order: public order, craft order, labor order. Here is a different kind, the order of beauty maintained daily so it can feel natural. You reach the pavilion and step under its shade. The air is cooler, faintly scented with wood and incense residue. Someone has placed a small bowl of water at one corner with a few floating petals, arranged as casually as if the petals just happened to choose that bowl. You know better. Nothing just happens in Imperial Gardens. You rest your hands on the railing and let the lake's surface hypnotize you. Ripples pass through the reflection of lanterns, breaking them into trembling threads. The garden's quiet doesn't erase your thoughts. It slows them, making them less sharp, less likely to cut you. And that's when the garden gives you its small problem. A wind rises gently, not a storm, just a change of mind in the air. Willow branches sway. Bamboo rattles. A loose object on the pavilion's edge shifts. A small lacquer tray, light enough to be moved by breeze, heavy enough to fall with a loud clatter. It slides toward the edge, inch by inch, obedient to physics. You notice it late, because you've been staring at water like it owes you answers. The tray reaches the last inch. If it falls, it won't ruin the empire, but it will break the garden's spell in a sharp sound. It will make heads turn. It will yank the quiet by its collar. Your body reacts. You reach out, smoothly, not with panic, and catch the tray just as it tips. Your palm feels the lacquer's cool surface. The tray steadies. The sound that almost happened dissolves back into wind. For a breath, you hold it there, surprised by your own quickness. Then you set it further in, away from the edge, and place a small stone paperweight on it. One of those ordinary, flat stones that seem to appear everywhere in this city when something needs holding down. It's as if Chang'an's true currency is not coins, but small weights of prevention. A local nearby sees the motion and gives the smallest nod, again that unromantic acknowledgement that says, yes, the quiet mattered, and you protected it. You return to the railing, hands empty again, heart calm. The lake continues. The wind settles. The willows resume their slow combing of air. You realize something tender. Chang'an's power isn't only in its walls and avenues. It's in this ability to create quiet on purpose, and in the expectation that everyone present participates in maintaining it. Even you, tired traveler, with your ink-stained fingers and your too confident chilly mistake, can help keep a garden calm by catching a tray before it falls. You stay until lantern light deepens, until the lake becomes darker and more reflective, until the pavilion feels like it's floating in a bowl of night. And when you finally move on, you do it slowly, carrying the garden's mirror water calm inside you like a second, softer heartbeat. You leave the pavilion as the garden's shadows grow longer, and the city's distant murmur rises again, soft at first, then richer, threaded with something brighter. It's not panic or noise for its own sake. It's anticipation, the kind that makes people walk a little more carefully because they don't want to spill their own excitement. Lantern Festival night gathers over Chang'an like warm cloth. The pathways leading out of the lake gardens fill with gentle movement. You follow, not pushed, simply carried by the current of bodies and light. Lanterns hang from eaves in tidy lines, but tonight there are more of them, clusters like glowing fruit, strings like fireflies caught in thread. Paper shades ripple in the breeze, painted with simple motifs, blossoms, birds, waves, clouds. Nothing screams for attention. Even celebration here seems disciplined, which is either admirable or faintly suspicious, depending on how cynical you feel while sleepy. The Grand Avenue reappears, and now it looks transformed. In daylight, its width was calm. Tonight, its width becomes a stage. Pools of lantern light spread across stone, and people drift through them like slow actors who already know their marks. The city's drum is softer now, more ceremonial. Beats spaced far enough apart that they feel like a heartbeat in a large sleeping animal. You move with the crowd toward a wide square where lanterns have been raised high on poles. Some float on the lake's nearby edges, their reflections doubling the glow. The air tastes of incense and roasted nuts, and tea poured into small cups that warm hands as much as mouths. Here is the strange magic of a festival done gently. It doesn't spike your energy. It smooths it. Locals guide you without words again, simply by making space when they see you hesitate. A couple shifts left, creating a lane. A vendor rotates a tray so you can pass without brushing it. A child, small, serious, steps back as if already trained in the city's choreography. You match their movements, grateful for a crowd that knows how to be crowded without becoming a crush. Lanterns sway overhead, and you let yourself stare too long. Some are shaped like simple cylinders. Others are folded into petals. A few are framed in bamboo and paper, larger, glowing from within like trapped sunset. The light isn't harsh. It's honeyed. It lands on faces and turns everyone's features softer. Near the square's edge, a line forms at a table where people place small lanterns to be lit. Hands cup paper shells. Wicks catch. Flames settle. Lanterns become tiny personal suns. You find yourself drawn in, and this is where Chang'an's gentle mischief returns. It gives you a task just beyond your certainty. A small lantern is placed into your hands, light as a sigh, fragile as a promise. Paper stretched over a thin frame, a small cup inside holding the wick. The lantern smells faintly of paste and bamboo. Your fingers tighten instinctively, which is exactly what you should not do. Paper does not enjoy being gripped by nervous travelers. You loosen your hold, remembering the tea bowl, the brush handle, the tray in the pavilion. Hold without clutching. Support without squeezing. The lantern is lit for you. The flame blooms small, then steadies. Warmth rises into the paper skin, and the lantern glows with a soft pulse. You feel absurdly responsible, as if you are now carrying a living creature that will die if you breathe wrong. The crowd begins to move toward a water's edge where lanterns can be set afloat. You follow. The lake here is calmer than the canal, edged with stone steps. Already, a scattering of lights drifts on the surface. Tiny glowing boats sliding slowly away, their reflections trembling beneath them. You kneel on a step, lantern cupped in both hands. The air is cool, the paper warm. A breeze brushes your cheek. Your indigo cloak pulls around your knees. Your russet sash presses against your waist like a steady reminder. Stay here, in your body, not in your panic. And then, your small problem. The breeze strengthens for one careless moment, and your lantern tilts. The flame inside leans dangerously close to the paper. You feel the immediate surge of fear, not dramatic, not noble, just the primal horror of ruining something delicate in public. You imagine the paper scorching, collapsing, the lantern dying in your hands like a disappointed firefly. You don't freeze this time. You turn your body slightly so your shoulders block the wind. You lower the lantern closer to the water, where the air is steadier. You angle it so the flame sits upright again. The glow returns to calm. The paper survives. The lantern keeps its quiet light as if nothing ever happened. A local nearby, older, calm, adjusts their own lantern in the same way, a small mirror of your movement that feels like reassurance. Yes, this is how you do it. Not by fighting the wind loudly, by positioning yourself gently. When you set the lantern onto the water, you release it slowly, hands opening like a soft exhale. The lantern touches the surface, wobbles once, then floats. The light steadies. It drifts outward, joining the others. You watch it move away, and something in your chest loosens, as if you have let go of more than paper and flame. The lantern becomes a point of light among many, indistinguishable soon, yet still part of the whole pattern. The festival continues around you, tea poured, incense curling, lanterns lifted and released. The city's order holds even this celebration, turning it into a slow river of light instead of a sudden flood. You stand and rejoin the crowd, moving back toward the avenue under swaying lanterns. The lake gardens behind you still hold their mirror calm. Ahead, the teak markets and quiet wards await. And above, the lanterns glow as if Chang'an itself is trying to sing you to sleep, one warm paper light at a time. Lantern light follows you for a while, then thins, as if the festival is politely letting you go. The crowd loosens into smaller streams that slip back into the city's grid. Paper shades still sway under eaves, but the glowing density fades into steadier lanterns that simply exist to keep ankles from meeting stone. You walk with the aftertaste of tea on your tongue and a faint warmth on your palms, like your hands still remember that floating lantern you managed not to sacrifice to the wind. The avenue calms the way a room calms after guests leave, incense thinning, coals being covered, ribbons and scraps of paper settling into cracks along the curb. Your body is pleasantly slow. Your mind is softer, too. And that is exactly when Chang'an reminds you that beauty does not cancel logistics. You reach for your travel token. It's a habitual check, the way you touch your sash or pat your bundle to confirm that your life is still attached to you. In a city this organized, a token is proof, permission, the small object that says you belong somewhere for the night. Your fingers slide into the usual place. They meet cloth. They meet air. They do not meet the familiar shape. You stop so abruptly your heel nearly clips your own toe. The street continues around you unbothered. A cart rolls past with a calm creak. Chang'an does not pause for your private emergency. You check again, cloak fold, sash knot, pouch at your waist. The pouch feels wrong, lighter. You open it. Coins. A cord. A dried citrus peel you apparently kept because your brain collects scent like treasure. No token. For a breath, you stare into the pouch as if staring hard enough might make absence behave. A sleepy sarcasm rises, gentle but merciless. You survived the Empire's chili. You saved a lacquer tray from clattering. You even helped rescue spilled grain. Now you lose the one object designed to keep you from sleeping under an eave. Your throat tightens anyway. You force your shoulders down. Don't sprint. Don't flail. Fix small problems before they bloom. So you retrace. You move back through the festival's fading edges, scanning the ground where lantern light pools, curb seams, stall legs, the dark line where walkway meets street. You replay your own motions, sidestep, pause, turn, drift, looking for the moment your pouch might have loosened. Nothing glints. Nothing waits politely to be found. You reach the water steps where you knelt to set your lantern afloat. The stone here is darker with damp. You search the edges, crouching to probe a crack with 2 fingertips. Empty. You search again, slower, because rushing is how you miss what's right in front of you. still empty. An attendant nearby tidies the last of the spent lantern frames. You can't ask with words, so you offer the simplest truth with your hands. An open palm, a point to your waist, a small helpless lift of your shoulders. Understanding flickers in their eyes. They gesture toward a low table where lost things gather after crowds disperse. A tray sits under lantern glow, a hairpin, a ribbon, a folded scrap of paper, a cord. You look. Not yours. The attendant gives a calm shrug. This happens, and gestures back toward the lanes, as if to say, the city is big, and small objects are very good at becoming myths. You widen your search for a few more minutes, moving like a careful broom, slow sweeps of attention, no dramatic lunges. The longer you look, the more Chang'an's scale shifts. The grid that steadied you now feels like a repeating pattern designed to swallow one missing thing forever. A wind slides down the avenue, cooler than before. Incense sweetness thins into damp stone and dust. Somewhere far off, a drum sounds, spaced out, late, measuring night with the patience of something that does not care about your token. You stop under an eave where lantern light barely reaches. Your hands hover near your pouch, near the paper offcut tucked into your sash, as if touch alone could rearrange reality. The ugly story tries to write itself. No token, no lodging, no entry, no safety. But you have been watching Chang'an all evening. This city fixes problems by turning them into procedures. In the book alleys, ledgers keep order without raising their voice. In the gardens, ordinary stones hold down what the wind wants to steal. In the warehouses, twine appears when a seam tears. There will be a place, some office, some desk, some stamped record, where loss becomes a line you can stand in, and a problem becomes a solution you can earn with patience. Your breathing slows. You choose that steadier story. Above you, clouds thicken and blur the lanterns into soft halos. A cool drop lands on the back of your hand, small, startling, real. Another follows. Rain begins, gentle at first, then more confident, turning dust into a darker paste and making the stone shine. Lanterns hiss softly as water kisses their paper shades. People tilt umbrellas of oiled cloth and tuck sleeves tighter, flowing toward covered walkways like water finding the lowest path. You pull your cloak close, set your feet carefully on slick stone, and angle toward the nearest sheltered corridor, ready to seek help where stamps and records live. Ready to let Chang'an teach you how it handles loss without panic. Rain gathers quickly, not as a dramatic curtain but as a steady decision the sky makes and then sticks with. Stone darkens. Lantern light fattens into soft halos. Footsteps soften, because everyone is negotiating slick ground with the same care you used when you caught that lacquer tray in the pavilion. You let the moving crowd carry you into a covered walkway that runs along the wards. Eaves stretch overhead, beams catching the rain and guiding it into neat streams. The air smells of wet timber and cooled incense, and the city's usual dust turns into a darker paste that shines under lamps. Water drums on roof tiles in a patient pattern that slows your breathing whether you agree or not. The missing token sits in your mind like grit. You touch the empty spot at your waist again. Nothing returns. So you do what Chang'an has been teaching you, make the problem visible, then let the city's systems handle it. A small watch shelter appears ahead, a lamp under an awning, more practical than grand. Two watchmen stand beneath it, scanning the corridor. You stop at a respectful distance. You open your palm to show emptiness, point to your waist, mime tying a cord and securing a tag, then lift your shoulders in a small question. One watchman's gaze sharpens, not angry, just attentive. He gestures toward your pouch and sash, asking for what you do have. You show coins, a cord, and a little strip of paper from the Tink market tucked into your russet sash. The paper's corner has gone damp. The rain is trying to erase even your modest souvenirs. You fold it twice and push it deeper into the sash's inner knot, remembering how flat stones held paper down in the book alleys. You can't borrow a stone from the world tonight, so you become the weight yourself, your thumb pressing the fold into place until it stays. The watchman makes a slow circling motion, return, retrace, then points down the corridor to a brighter junction where more lamps burn. His other hand lifts palm down, a steadying sign that feels like a reminder, slow. You nod. You move, and nearly learn the hard way why everyone's steps have softened. A slick patch catches your sandal, your weight shifts. Your hand finds a post and steadies you before you can perform a full-body apology to the ground. A passerby angles 2 fingers toward the dryer line near the wall where the stone is rougher and less treacherous. You follow, grateful for guidance that arrives as geometry rather than judgment. At the junction, the covered walkway opens into a larger court. Rain spills off roof edges in steady curtains. People cluster here to wait out the worst, outlines softened by mist. A tea stall glows in one corner. Its brazier is a small sun, its kettle humming like it has one job and intends to do it perfectly. A bowl of tea ends up in your hands without ceremony. Steam rises and meets the rain-cooled air, turning into a soft veil that makes the court feel smaller, safer. You cradle the bowl, heat sinking into your palms. The bitterness steadies you, and the simple act of holding something warm keeps you from spiraling into a search that turns reckless, like dumping chili into broth and pretending you meant to do it. You try again with gestures smaller now. Open palm. Point to waist. A careful outline of a flat token in the air. Your face does the rest. Lost, needed, urgent but not loud. A nearby woman watches your hands, then points to a hanging board beneath a lamp. Under it sits a low table with a shallow tray of found objects, cords, a pin, a ribbon, a folded scrap of paper held down with a flat stone. The stone again, doing its quiet job of preventing chaos. You step over and look, letting hope rise carefully. The tray holds many small lives, but not yours. No stamp tag. No token. Your shoulders sink, but you keep your breathing even. Despair is just impatience in costume, and you've had enough of costumes for one night. You replay the evening in your head as a chain, not a blur, kneeling at the water steps to set your lantern afloat, drifting through dispersing crowds, stepping under an eave when the first drops hit, discovering the empty place at your waist. Somewhere in that line, the token slipped free. If it was found, it would have been carried to someone whose job is to hold small things until their owner learns where to go. That means watch posts, ward desks, the patrols that collect what the street drops, places with benches, lamps, and ink. As if answering the thought, a young attendant near the board beckons. He points to you, then down the corridor, then holds up 2 fingers and traces a slow walking motion. He taps his own chest, guide, witness, then points forward again. The meaning is plain, follow, and you won't be wandering alone. You go with him at a steady pace, careful on wet stone. Lamps pass at regular intervals. Water runs in narrow channels along the corridor's edge, guided and contained. Your heart settles into that rhythm. The token is still missing, but the missing has a direction now. Ahead, under brighter lamps, a doorway glows with a more official stillness. Benches, a table, the faint scent of ink and paper. Rain keeps tapping the roof above, but it sounds farther away here, muffled by beams and routine. You approach with your guide beside you, ready to trade frantic searching for patient steps, ready to let Chang'an's quiet machinery begin to turn. You step into the brighter doorway and the rain becomes a muffled idea instead of a wet fact. The corridor's damp breath gives way to dry paper, lamp oil, and the cool mineral edge of ink. A bench runs along one wall. A table sits under a steady lamp. Behind it, shelves hold bundles tied with cord, each stack aligned as if alignment itself is a form of mercy. Here, lost things stop being stories and start being records. You keep your bundle close and stand where the floorboards are least slick. Your guide gestures toward a low side table. On it, a shallow tray of objects gathered from streets and walkways, arranged with method rather than sentiment. Each item rests beside a slip marked in neat strokes. A flat stone pins the slips down, because even indoors the world tries to move what should stay put. You lean in and scan slowly. A pin, a ribbon, a cord. Then, near the tray's corner, a familiar outline, flat, stamped, modestly official. Your token sits there as if it has been waiting patiently for you to stop spinning. Your breath catches and then steadies. You point to the token, then to the empty place at your waist, then to yourself. The person behind the table watches your hands with the calm of someone who has seen every kind of worry and has chosen routine over emotion. 2 fingers lift, trace a small circle, procedure. You understand. The token can't simply be handed over because you look tired enough to deserve it. Chang'an is kind, but it is not careless. You open your pouch and lay out what you have, carefully, on the table's edge. A few coins. The cord that ties your pouch. The damp strip of paper from the tea-ink market, folded into your russet sash. You unfold it gently. The rain has softened it, but the fibers still hold their strength. You offer it forward as evidence that you have been moving through the city honestly. It feels faintly ridiculous, presenting a scrap of paper as proof of yourself, but then you remember how this city treats paper, not as decoration, but as something powerful enough to organize lives. Your embarrassment quiets. A ledger opens. The pages are thick, edges worn by routine. A brush dips into ink, glistens, then darkens. Short strokes appear, tidy and controlled. A seal is lifted, pressed into paste, and set onto the page with a soft, definitive touch. Your guide steps forward half a pace and raises a hand, palm angled, a quiet gesture of witness. He indicates you arrived together and have been searching, and the office receives it without surprise. In Chang'an, even strangers can be helped by procedure if they move through it properly. The token is lifted from the tray and placed near the ledger, but not yet returned. A small spark of impatience flickers in you. Give it back. Let me stop being a walking question. But you let the spark die. You have spent the night learning that impatience is just wind with a new name. You block it the way you block the festival breeze. Turn your shoulders, lower your breath, make yourself steady. you sit on the bench. Waiting here has shape and sound. Rain taps the roof in patient patterns. The lamp's flame holds still. Paper rustles somewhere deeper in the building, soft whispers of sheets being shifted and aligned. The person at the table writes, pauses, blots, and writes again. Every motion is small, exact, and strangely soothing. A slip of paper slides toward you. It bears a stamp already, neat against pale fiber. The gesture is clear, receipt, record, a tether for the token so it doesn't drift away again into rumor. A dab of paste is offered. The person points then to your thumb. You press your thumb into the paste, cool, faintly sticky, then onto the slip. Your print lands imperfectly, ridges and smudges, a clumsy seal compared to the elegant marks you watched on Calligrapher's Street. Still, it is honest. Your body becomes evidence, and that feels comforting. The city is holding you in ink. A sleepy sarcasm rises and settles, almost amused by the fact that your thumbprint, and not your confidence, is what makes you officially you tonight. The token is finally slid within reach, placed rather than dropped, a subtle reminder that even returning something is done without grabbing here. You pick it up with both hands. It is cool and slightly damp. You tie it back to your waist with deliberate knots, firm, not frantic. You tuck the knot beneath your sash so it sits protected, held down like paper under a stone. The ledger closes with a soft final sound. Your guide gives a small nod and drifts away, roll complete without applause. You bow your head slightly, not as performance, just as alignment with the room's tone, and step back into the covered corridor. Rain still falls, but it no longer feels like a threat. You have your token again. Somewhere behind you, your existence sits in a ledger line, drying into permanence. And as you walk into the wet night, you carry the deeper lesson with you, warm and steady as tea. In Chang'an, waiting is not punishment. It is a method. It is the city teaching you how to breathe until the right stamp arrives. You step back under the eaves and the corridor's damp air greets you like a cool cloth on the forehead. Rain still falls, but it sounds gentler now, as if it has decided not to be dramatic either. Water runs in narrow channels along the stone edge, guided and contained, making soft, continuous music that keeps your thoughts from racing. Your token rests against your waist again, secured under your russet sash, and you touch it once, lightly, like checking that a heartbeat is still there. The city's calm machinery has done its job. Now the city does another. It keeps you safe as night deepens. You begin moving toward the ward where you're meant to sleep, letting the covered walkways lead you like quiet rivers. Lamps burn at measured intervals. Each pool of light feels like a small room you can step into and then leave. Beyond those pools, the darkness isn't hostile. It's simply unlit, and that difference matters. The night watch appears in the distance. Two figures beneath an awning, their silhouettes sharp against lamplight. They stand with the easy stillness of people trained to notice without staring. When a cart approaches, they shift subtly, guiding it down the drier line. When a cluster of pedestrians forms, they widen their stance just enough to make a corridor. Their authority is quiet, almost invisible, and you find yourself grateful for it the way you're grateful for a roof and rain. You only notice when it's doing its job well. You pass near them and keep your posture calm. No sudden movements. No wandering into the cart lane. You've learned your lessons. They glance at you, token tied, step steady, and their attention moves on without hooking into you. In Chang'an, being unremarkable is sometimes the safest success. As you walk, you begin to notice the city's night texture. Doors are shut, but not aggressively. They sit closed like eyelids. A few windows glow behind paper screens, lantern light softening outlines into silhouettes. Somewhere inside, a kettle hisses. Somewhere else, a broom whispers against stone. Someone's still tidying even now. The city's order doesn't sleep. It simply lowers its volume. You turn into a narrower alley and immediately understand why the watch exists. The stone here is uneven. Rain pools in shallow pockets. Shadows are thicker, and lantern light doesn't reach the corners. Your feet slow. Your shoulders tighten a fraction. A small problem arrives not as danger, but as uncertainty. At an intersection of two slim lanes, the darkness makes the grid feel less friendly. The walls look similar. The eaves echo the same shapes. Your mind flicks through a tired fear. What if you walk the wrong way and end up back at the canal, or worse, somewhere without lamps? The city offers you a clue: sound. You hear a soft tap, 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 steady and spaced. A lantern pole striking stone lightly as someone walks. You angle toward it, because light is a language you can read even when you're half asleep. A lantern carrier emerges, a worker with a pole across their shoulder, lanterns hanging from it like small moons. They move carefully, checking the lamps, replacing a shade, adjusting a wick. The light they carry is not decoration, it is infrastructure. Behind them, a watchman appears briefly, checking a doorway latch, then disappearing again. Together, they stitch safety into the night with small, unromantic actions. You follow at a respectful distance, letting their pace set yours. The carrier turns into a lane that leads toward brighter lamps and a larger covered corridor. You feel your muscles loosen. The city is guiding you again, not with words, but with the simple presence of people whose job is to keep the grid readable in rain. At one lamp, the carrier pauses. The lantern flickers. Wind has found it. The flame dances too close to the paper shade, threatening to scorch. You recognize the moment. It mirrors your festival lantern, your body blocking the wind, the flame settling. Without thinking too hard, you step slightly to the side, using your cloak and shoulder to shield the lantern from the breeze funneling down the lane. The carrier adjusts the wick, steadies the shade, and the flame calms. The lantern's glow returns to its soft, reliable circle. You step back, hands empty again, as if you were never there. The carrier gives a small nod, again, that quiet Chang'an acknowledgement that says, yes, you understood what mattered. The watchman's glance touches you for a second and moves on. You're not suspicious. You're part of the city's night maintenance for a heartbeat. You continue on, feeling oddly protected by routine rather than by walls. The covered corridor reappears, brighter now, with benches and occasional tea stalls still awake for late workers. Rain continues its patient tapping. The city drum sounds once in the distance, a single beat like a slow blink. You realize how much your body has changed since you entered the western gate. Your movements are smaller. Your eyes scan without panic. Your hands stay tucked, sleeves controlled. You've learned the night rules without being lectured. Follow light, avoid center lanes, respect the flow, let the watch do its work, and when you can, help quietly without making yourself a story. By the time you reach the lodging courtyard again, The rain has eased into a softer drizzle. The basin water inside reflects the lantern as a small, steady moon, just like before. You retie your token once more, secure, and step into shelter with the calm of someone who has moved through a huge city at night and remained, miraculously, intact. Morning arrives the way it should, not as an alarm, but as a gradual softening. The drizzle has thinned into a damp hush, and the courtyard basin still holds a lantern's reflection like a small, patient moon that refused to go out just because you slept. Your token sits under your russet sash again, tied tighter than last night, the knot tucked where wandering fingers and wandering wind can't bully it free. You touch it once slightly. Not to check it's real, just to tell your body that panic is over. Outside the lodging gate, Chang'an is already tidying itself. Rain has darkened the stone, making every step look freshly washed. A broom whispers behind a wall. A cart rolls past with the same calm creak it had yesterday, as if nothing important ever happened, which is both insulting and comforting. You remember the bench in the ward office, the ledger line, the stamp pressed down with soft certainty. You remember the young attendant who walked you there as a witness, and the watchman's palm-down reminder to move slowly. You have your token back because the city held it, yes, but also because people did. Gratitude rises in you, warm and restless. It doesn't know where to go. Chang'an has a language for that. Not speeches. Not chasing someone down the grid like you're delivering a dramatic apology. Small acts. Quiet, correct actions that don't demand a reaction. So you carry tea first. The lodging kettle has been kept warm through the night. The first pour smells toasted and steady, that familiar bitterness that saved you from chilly pride and kept you calm under the rain. You wrap your hands around the bowl for a moment, then walk it out under the eaves toward the nearest watch shelter. The watch is there, as if it never left. Two figures stand in measured stillness, lamps already trimmed, corridor already readable. You approach with slow steps so your presence doesn't feel like a problem. You set the tea bowl on the edge of their sheltered table, within easy reach, not in anyone's way, then step back and dip your head in the smallest bow. No speech. No lingering. You let the gesture exist, and then let it be done. A breeze threads under the roof. Steam wavers, then steadies. One watchman's glance touches the bowl and then your face for a brief moment, and the only response is a tiny shift of posture, like a stamp you can't see but can still feel. You walk on lighter. The next act is less elegant, which makes it more honest. Rain has pushed leaves and silt into a shallow channel along the walkway, clogging the neat flow of water that keeps the stone from becoming a slick trap. Yesterday you nearly slid. Today you see the same risk building for someone else. A pair of workers passes with arms full, attention forward, feet moving fast enough to be careless. You crouch and pull your sleeves back, remembering how a cuff once tried to ruin a brush tip. With two careful fingers, you lift a wet clump of leaves and set it aside. The water frees itself, running again in a thin ribbon. You nudge another clump away. The gurgle becomes a smooth whisper. The stone beside the channel dries a little faster. You stand slowly, knees reminding you that you are not built for heroic crouching. A sleepy sarcasm yawns in your head. Congratulations, traveler, you have advanced civilization by relocating leaves, then softens as you remember the spilled grain by the canal. Small messes don't stay small. Prevention is a kind of kindness here, and you are finally fluent enough to offer it. Later, you drift through the tea market as it wakes. Awnings lift. Paper stacks are unwrapped. Inkstones are rinsed, their basins catching morning light like tiny pools. You keep your hands close, honoring the city's fragile things. At one stall, a drying sheet has lifted at the corner, rain damp, trying to curl into its own stubborn shape. The vendor's hands are busy. The breeze toys with the edge, patient and irritating. You step in, press 2 fingertips near the corner, and slide a small flat stone onto it. Ordinary, clean enough, perfectly boring. The paper stills. The breeze loses interest. The vendor's eyes flick to the stone, then to you, and their expression changes only by a hair, recognition of a correct motion. You drift away before anything turns into a scene. Your gratitude isn't a transaction. It's a posture. As the day continues, you notice how different your body feels inside this city. Yesterday, the grid threatened to swallow you. Today, it holds you. You walk the edges instinctively. You read the flow of carts without fear. When lanes tighten, you slow your breath instead of tightening your shoulders. Tea warmth sits low in your chest, steady as a lamp. You touch the knot of your token again, not from worry now, but from tenderness. It is a small object, yet it pulled you through rain and procedure, and the humbling reminder that you are not the center of Chang'an. The city's kindness isn't loud. It is repeated, maintained, and quietly shared, tea offered without ceremony, water guided back into its channel, paper held down against wind, like ink returning to a point after a rinse. You take your time leaving, because Chang'an has trained you out of dramatic exits. Morning stays cool after the rain, and the stone underfoot keeps a faint dampness that holds dust down. Most lanterns have surrendered to daylight, yet a few still glow under deep eaves, stubborn as the little moon you saw floating in the courtyard basin. Your token rests secure beneath your russet sash. You touch the knot once, not to check it, but to remind your hands of the lesson. If something matters, you weigh it down and tie it well. You return to the Imperial Lake Gardens while the day is still gentle. The path feels softer than it did in festival glow, the gravel less sharp, the water darker and more honest without lantern reflections trying to impress you. Willows comb the air with thin green fingers. Raindrops cling to their tips before letting go into the lake, each one making a ring that spreads, thins, and disappears. The circles remind you of ink blooming into paper fibers when you press too hard on your first stroke, and how a careful hand can still bring the tip back to a point. Gardeners move along the edge with steady patience, raking and lifting and gathering fallen leaves into woven baskets. A shallow channel carries leftover rainwater away in a neat line. The garden, like the city, stays beautiful because someone keeps choosing the small correct action instead of the loud impressive one. You cross a low bridge and pause at its center, letting the lake hold your gaze. Fish glide beneath the surface. A breeze lifts your indigo cloak, then settles it again, and your shoulders loosen as if the air is practicing gentleness too. For a moment, you feel the tug to stay, to keep walking these paths until you forget the sharp edges of your own life. But Chang'an cannot erase you. It can only lend you a steadier pace, the way a tea house lends you warmth. A pavilion waits ahead, shaded and cool. You keep to the side so you don't disturb the stillness of others resting there. A lacquer tray sits safely away from any edge, and the memory of catching one before it clattered rises in you like a private smile. You think of gathering spilled grain back into a sack by the canal, and of blocking the festival breeze so your floating lantern didn't scorch itself into embarrassment. None of it was dramatic. All of it mattered. As you walk on, the scent of tea finds you again. Someone has set a kettle to hum under an awning, and toasted bitterness floats across the path like a soft hand on your shoulder. Your mouth remembers the night market's overconfident chili and the way tea cooled your pride into something manageable. You remember the tea courtyard's rules too: hand steady, rim kept clean, waiting treated as part of the taste. A small, sleepy sarcasm stirs and settles in you. You arrived thinking you needed monuments, and what stays is how you move. Near the garden gate, a small writing table sits under shade, with brushes upright and slips pinned down by a flat stone. The ink smell is clean and mineral. A copyist's hand moves in controlled strokes, and you watch just long enough for your breathing to match the rhythm: dip, stroke, lift. Even the brush tip seems to rest without laziness, precise and gentle at the same time. You reach into your sash and take out the scrap of paper you tucked there, the offcut from the tea ink market, softened by rain but still strong. You smooth it on your palm and don't write, because you don't need ink to record what your body already holds. The paper already carries your night: the hush of book alleys, the canal's working creak, the ledger's calm stamp, the lantern's warm drift on water. You fold it neatly, tie it with your spare cord, and tuck it back under your sash like a small promise. You step out of the garden and back into the streets one last time. The Grand Avenue is awake, bright and broad, carts moving in predictable lanes. People drift in the choreography you've learned to follow. You keep to the edge, yield without thinking, and let others pass. You don't clutch your belongings like the world is always about to steal them. You understand, at last, that order can be a kindness when everyone participates. At the western wall, the gatehouse waits as it did on your first evening, thick and calm and inevitable. Outside, the road stretches open and uneven, honest about its challenges. Inside, Chang'an holds its order like a bowl holds tea, warm and steady, willing to be sipped slowly. You stand in the shadow of the gate for a final moment and let your mind walk backward through your nights. Tea steam and ink gloss, paper held down by stones, watch lamps making darkness readable, and your own hands learning to move slowly without fear. Then you turn your shoulders toward the road. You carry Chang'an with you in smaller, truer ways: the habit of slowing down before you touch anything fragile, the practice of letting systems help you instead of treating every problem like a personal duel, the taste of tea that steadies, the scent of ink that reminds you to move with intention. And as you step beyond the gate, you offer the city a quiet farewell, not with words, but with the simplest correct motion, a slow breath, a soft look back toward willow shade and stone. The road outside the gate feels wider than it did before, but you don't have to fill it with hurry. You let your steps stay unforced, the way you learn from the gardeners and the copyists and the watch who never needed to raise their voice to keep a whole world steady. Even the air seems to move more slowly now, as if it remembers willow leaves dripping into the lake and wants to imitate that patient rhythm. In your mind, Chang'an grows quieter, not vanishing, just dimming like a lantern turned down so it won't keep you awake. You see the broad avenue fading into soft light. You smell tea for one more breath, warm and toasted. You feel the ink scent again, clean and mineral, and you imagine a brush coming to a perfect point, again and again, without strain. You remember the small stone holding paper still. You remember the gentle weight of your sash knot, and the comfort of knowing it will hold. If your day has been heavy, you don't have to solve it tonight. Let it sit on a shelf the way ledgers sit, closed and safe, waiting for morning hands. Let your thoughts drift like fish beneath a dark surface, slow and unbothered. Let worries loosen their grip, the way your cloak settles after a breeze. Your hands unclench, your jaw softens, and even your token feels lighter, as if it trusts you to sleep now, fully. Your breathing stays deep and quiet. Inhale, and the city's noise falls away. Exhale, and the water rings on the lake spread and disappear. The last image is simple: willow shade, a calm walkway, and you moving through it without breaking anything. Now you rest. Just rest. The night can carry you from here, gently, gently, gently. End of story. Sweet dreams.